This is the full tutorial for the modded version of Benjamin Franklin's Locker Lego puzzle box. So the first thing I want to say is that this mod uses the bottom half of Benjamin Franklin's Locker, which I've got here in our nice white and green. And I'm going to take off the top half. This is an old half. This is what the box looks like when I put them together for the first time. There's no color coordination. I'm just putting on whatever bricks work because I don't want to think about that. So we're going to take that off, and what we have left here is the cabinet, the drawer, and the lock for the drawer. If I lift the lock up here, this should just be able to slide right out like that. Okay. Now one thing you'll notice, I've actually changed this in a different way also. I removed the rail and groove system in here because a lot of people didn't have those. And it's kind of a nice to have. It keeps the puzzle drawer from coming all the way out, which I like. I like when parts don't fully detach. But people just didn't have that. So you don't really need that rail and groove system. It can just go in and out and the lock still holds it in place until the final move. So, the drawer and the cabinet are going to be the exact same, but there's one difference, and so I'm going to show you this again. Benjamin Franklin's Locker has a hole right here, just set in from the corner, and that's the interface with the lock. The new one that we're going to use has the hole in a slightly different place. You see it's shifted over one stud. And so we have to actually modify the lock. And the only modification to this lock is literally that we're going to be shifting this pillar that sticks up is shifting over by one stud. And everything else about this will be the same. So this is going to be our new lock. You can see it fits just nicely here. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to build the drawer and cabinet again, just in case you've not seen the original one. If you have this, if you've already built, if you've seen it and don't need to see it again, that's fine. I'll put a link to a skip ahead here. Let's get started building the bottom plate of the cabinet. So the full length of this puzzle box is 12 studs long, and it's 6 studs wide. So I have a 2x12 here, and then I have a 4x8 right here. And then I've got these corner plates. I'm just gonna sort of put these together into the pattern that represents the bottom of the puzzle box. Just like that, okay? And then we're going to take some of these tiles and just start connecting them. Here, it'll start. Yep. Just like this. Into that pattern right there. Okay. Now one thing I want to show you is that when we flip this over and look at the bottom, it's a pretty distinctive pattern. This draws attention to the button, which is the final move. If you want to disguise that final move and make the puzzle a little bit harder, you can just cover this area in random plates. So you're basically adding another layer to the bottom of the puzzle box just to sort of disguise the pattern, okay? And you might even use several 2x2 plates so that this isn't the only 2x2 plate that might potentially be a button. Let's turn it back this way. It's not very strong yet, but it becomes a lot stronger. All right, let's continue to build out the walls. Just gonna place this 1x10 and a 1x2 plate here. Here we have a 1x4 brick. You might have noticed that the colors are similar but a little bit different. It's just because I don't have all the colors that I want every time I go to build something. So sometimes you change it up. The most important thing with this color scheme is just having some cool gray. I think it's called bluish gray. That's the color you want. You don't want that nasty gray that has that warm tone. You want some whites and you want some of these lime greens, and just kind of make it into a noisy pattern. This 1x4 here. Little airplane noise overhead. Sorry about that. We're trying out different locations for minimizing the background noise and echo. And so we have our two 1x4 bricks here. So that should just look like this right here. It's starting to get some strength to it, but it's still a little bit flimsy. And let's keep going with a few more plates, building out these walls. A 1x4 plate, a 1x3 here. This little 1x1 comes right there, so that this gray, and you know, I ran out of the cool gray, so I'm using a dark gray. 1x6 plate though, right there. Okay, then a few bricks on this side. This is where those rail bricks were. You might remember this was the stopper brick for the rail, but since we don't have that anymore, I'm actually going to move that. Well, we'll just leave it right here. There, like that. Starting to come together. This plate comes up here. So now this is all flush and this is down one step. And we're actually going to just put a couple more bricks up, just like that. All right, let's finish this cabinet up. So I'm just gonna put in a 1x6 plate and a 1x2 plate. There. 1x8 plate to connect it all here. And then we've got a 2, a 3, and a 3. All right, that wall is pretty much finished. And this wall is finished. And so now we just have this wall here. That's the side with the transparent window bricks. So I'm just gonna place these plates. There's a 1x3 brick, 1x2. Now these are the window bricks. You'll see these in our other puzzle boxes quite a bit as bricks that actually we use as sliders because they don't have an undertube, but they also are intended as windows. That's why they don't have the undertube, so that they're more transparent. And so we'll just place these two bricks side by side here so that our money can look out at us. This 1x3. And then just one final layer of plates. So a 1x6 and a 1x3. Pretty simple. That's it. That's the cabinet. There's the hole for the final release button. And all smooth tiles on the interior here so that the drawer can slide inside it. Now that we have the cabinet, we need a drawer. That's what holds the money. That's what slides out. So we're gonna start with this 4x8 plate on the bottom. That's the base of the drawer that fits in there. And there's gonna be a little hook here that keeps it locked in place. That's the hook. So I'm just gonna put that corner plate right there. And then we're gonna just lock that in place right away with a few plates. So we have a 1x3 right here, 1x4, and 1x3 plates. Okay. Now on the little hook edge, we're gonna go ahead and just put a 1x1 tile, smooth tile right like that. That's the top surface. A 1x2 brick comes and sits there. And then another 1x1 tile sits right next to that brick like that. Okay, 1x3 plate comes in. And now we can just start building this up. So we have 1x2, 1x2, and just notice that these are sort of staggered. That gives it some strength. 1x4, a 1x1, And then we have 2 corner plates. Good old corner plates. Just making our box strong and giving us our zigs and zags and interesting structures. Let's continue. We have this really long 1x10 1x10 plate. Now that really gives this thing some strength and makes it really stable. Okay, and then I have a 1x3 tile, sort of not rare, but we don't all have many of those. That one fits right there. The 1x2 plate, another plate, 1x6, okay. 1x3 comes here, 1x2, and then right here we're just going to do this whole thing again with these 2 corner plates. It's starting to be pretty strong. Just pressing it all as I go here. Okay. Let's finish the drawer up. Another one of these really strong 1x10s. And tiles across there. Got the one here and a 1x8 here. Okay, 1x3 plate and 1x4 tile. Just like that. And now I've got these 3 plates and a tile here. And I'm just gonna put 2 of these, stack 2 of these together and put them on the bottom of this handle here. Just like that. So that's flush with the bottom. See that? And then we're gonna do the same thing on top with the tile on top here. $100 bill sticking out and press it together. That is the drawer and it fits right nicely into the cabinet. Now we're going to build the lock. Remember, this is slightly different than the lock in the Benjamin Franklin original Lego puzzle box. So to build it, we're actually going to have this white brick be on the bottom, and we're going to take this 1x1, the 1x1 plate. Yours can be square or round, and then we're going to place it on this brick. This corner brick here. This is a 2x2 corner brick, and the corner brick is going to go onto the 2x2 brick. So it should look like this. Okay. Then we're going to take a 1x2 plate and just set it right there, and then 2 1x3 plates. And those go there. So this is so far actually identical to the original lock. Okay, now we're going to start to see the differences in the lock. So first thing I'm going to do is place this 1x3, or sorry, I call it 1x3. It's got 3 studs. It's a 2x2 corner. Okay, and then I'm going to place a 1x2 tile right there, and another 1x2 tile right there. Okay, see what that looks like right like that. Okay, we got a 1x2 plate now. Whoops, dropped it. Goes right in this groove. And then a 1x1 brick. Okay, now you can use a round tile here if you want, like I have, or a square. But on the top, I'd like for you to use a round tile. And that has to do with the thing that's going on above it. There's a moving piece that goes on above it, and I found that just having sort of this rounded lip there, it hangs up just a little bit less. All right, that's the new lock. Just like the old one, but this pillar right here has been shifted from the edge over to the middle. See, that's what it used to look like. And now this pillar is right here in the middle. Let's see what that looks like inside our box. Okay, sits like that. Should just drop right into place. You know, it's sticking out, let's see, 2 brick heights past the edge. And if I try to pull, see it, oh, came out because there's nothing above it, I guess. Let's try it again. If I give it a little tug and I hold it in place like it is in the box, this is pretty sturdy. It's hard to pull out like this. If I just lift this up just a little bit, 1 stud height to there. Now, the drawer comes out. And without the rail system, there's nothing to stop it. It just comes out all the way. The button has to be pushed up to reinsert, and then you can push it down. Let's start by assembling the base area. Okay, so the base is going to have these 2 1x6 plates on its ends, sort of bookending the bottom. And I'm just gonna push these together like that. Remember, this puzzle box is 6x12 sort of footprint. So we've got the same footprint here. And then we're gonna just start locking some of these into place. So I'm gonna use this 1x6 plate here, like that. Now this is a brick, it's a 2x3 brick. Placing that here. 2x3 plate and a 1x3 plate, like that. A couple of 2x2s. You can substitute if you want. Some you might see as I'm going forward, there's going to be some different piece selections that you'd say, well, why would you use that? And the reason is, I'm trying to get you all, trying to use pieces that if you order them, you can have some of these rare pieces, but if you need to substitute them now, they're easy to substitute. In other words, they're not sort of critical to the design right now. For example, those corner tiles, a lot of you didn't have that, and I get it. So there's gonna be some corner tiles in here that aren't critical to the design. You can use a 1x2 and a 1x1 to make a corner tile of your own here, but then you'll have those for use later if you need them. So just adding these plates in. We have some interior plates coming up here. Yeah, like I could have used a 1x3 here, I guess, but that's really trying to get this box out quickly, so I didn't come back through and rework all of the sort of inners of it to make it perfectly optimal. But it's pretty good right now. And there we are. That's the base. There's our hole. On to the next step. All right, let's keep building up. Let's start with these 2 pieces here and just fill out this little hole. All right, so there starts to be a path. This is the path where our rack is gonna sit. Then another 1x2 right there. Okay, now let's start to button this in. A 2x4 tile and a 1x4 plate, like that. Then along this back edge we have a tile, plate, 1x4 plate, and a 2x2 plate. Starting to feel pretty sturdy. Then we have this 2x3 plate. All right, now I'm just gonna set this 1x2 plate right here, even though it's on only 1 stud, and right now it can sort of swivel. It'll lock in eventually. Okay. This plate comes right here. And we have a corner plate. This was a 1x3 tile. And then the corner plate. We have a couple of these 2x2s, a 2x2 plate and a 2x2 tile. I've added some blue in just to give it a little bit of variety. so that it doesn't look exactly like the old Benjamin's locker. Okay. Now, and so you notice I've got a couple of these corner tiles, and you can substitute these. These are not, you don't have to have corner tiles right now, but I wanted to include them so that if you're ordering the pieces that you have these for later builds, because these corner tiles can be pretty important mechanics to a puzzle that there's not really substitutes for. So if you get these now and you build this box, then you'll have these, and later you can pull these out and substitute them into this box and use them in other builds. So let's just keep going here. There's a lot of smooth surface on this layer, so this is where a lot of the movement in the box comes from. Little 1x1 tile. All right, so this is a jumper plate. It's a 1x2 plate with center stud, and this is not one you can substitute. This is also called a jumper plate, and it's called a jumper plate because it lets you move a sort of a half brick. And we're using a jumper plate here to sort of get some packing in the upper parts so that the movement, there's some floating pieces actually above it, but we're gonna just sort of constrain them in, and that jumper plate's sort of needed for that. All right, let's keep going. Yeah, we have another one of these substitutable corner tiles. We have a couple of 1x2 Technic bricks with holes. That's not an axle hole, it's just a round hole. And they have this little groove inset, which is nice for letting these axle stoppers sort of reside in them. So yeah, first I'm gonna place this I sometimes call it a stud accidentally because that's what it feels like, just a stud. It's a 1x1 plate and a 1x1 tile on top, just like that. Just try to make it square if it's a little bit crooked. And then I'm gonna place a 1x1 brick into that hole. Okay, let's just move around the box here. So I'm gonna start adding another 2x3 plate on top of that brick. Okay, 1x2 plate here. One of these bricks with holes. And now I'm gonna do another one of these so this is a corner brick, and it's gonna rest, actually it's gonna cover this, this tile a little bit there, just like that. Okay, corner plate and a 1x2 plate here. Oops. There we go. I'm gonna place this stud, this 1x1 plate there, and just put this other corner tile there. Of course, if you're substituting, you're gonna want the tile, the 1x2 to go this way, and this would be the 1x1, so that it overlaps the crack between those two plates. And we have a 1x3 plate here, 1x2. Our other Technic brick with 2 holes comes right there. Okay, and then I'm gonna place a 1x3 tile here, 1x1 plate, and a 1x1 brick on top of that. All right, the shell of this is starting to come together. All right, so we're gonna take a couple of these 1x3 plates, and it's gonna overhang right there. And just stack those two on top of each other. Like that. And then we're gonna put a 1x4 right there. Also just catching the end of those two 1x3s. 1x2 tile goes here. 1x2 brick goes there. All right, now we're gonna put this little pattern here. 1x2 plate and a 1x2 tile with another 1x2 plate. Just like that. We're gonna stack a couple of plates here also, 1x2 and a 1x2 on top of each other. And then this brick, 1x1 goes right there. Okay. This 1x1 tile is gonna leap over into the middle. Go right on top of that brick. Right there. And just kind of square it up. When you place a 1x1, you really want to try to make sure that it's not a little bit at an angle or anything. Okay, now we got to fill this 5 stud length a couple of times. So 1x4 with a 1, and then let's reverse that. 1x4 with a 1 going the other direction. Like that. And then let's just take our 1x3 and connect it right there. Just like that. So if you notice that my lighting is changing, for example, from the clip this morning, I'm gonna place just some plates while I talk. It's because I'm trying different lighting systems, indoor lighting, some more natural lighting, and I'm trying to get the best lighting and exposure so that it's easy to build it with. So we're gonna just place those corners there. So it's gonna get better, and just bear with me, and ultimately we'll have the best, most satisfying and easy to follow videos. We have this 1x3 tile and this final brick. Let me just show you, I might zoom in a little bit here. Let me just show you what this looks like so that you can verify that yours matches it, okay? Maybe I'll spin it to this side. There's a little hole here. Hopefully you're matching this pretty well. All right, let's build a few wingdings here. We're gonna stack a couple of 1x1 plates and a 1x1 brick with a hole in it. There's one. This is a 1x1 brick with a stud on the side. So this is not the headlight brick, which is recessed. This is just a brick with a stud on the side. We're gonna put a tile on each of the studs. Like that. And this is a 1x2 Technic brick with an axle hole. And we're gonna put a 1x1 plate on it, and then we're gonna put a tile on top of that. There we have it. Okay, what I'm about to show you, I'm both excited for and ashamed of. It's probably the most nonsensical assembly I've ever put together with Lego. I would ask you to tell me about yours if you've done anything this crazy and nonsensical, but we wouldn't be able to make any sense of it. So here it goes. First, we're gonna take one of these headlight bricks. It's a headlight brick because it's recessed and it has a stud on the side, and it has this hole in the back. And we're going to take a 1x2 Technic brick with axle hole. We're gonna push this headlight brick into it like that. Okay. Then we're gonna take a 1x1 brick with a hole, and a 1x1 brick with a stud on the outside. So this is not a headlight brick, it's just a regular brick with a stud on the side. And we're gonna put the stud on the side into the hole and just push these together and force them together. Okay, so now we can't see that one stud on the side anymore, but you can see the axle, or sorry, the hole. Okay, now we're going to put this on top of a 1x2 plate. Like that. We're going to put a 1x2 plate on top of it, and then a 1x2 tile on top. This looks like that. The The final step we're going to do is we're going to set this upright. We're going to take the this stud here on this 1x2 brick, and we're going to put it into the hole like that. Okay, that's it. This is the strangest piece, but it ends up being pretty important to the puzzle. It ends up floating in the puzzle a little bit. So can't wait to show you that. Let's do some buttons. So this one has a 1x2 brick with an axle hole, and a 1x2 brick without an undertube here. And that's important that it does not have the undertube because this is a slider. Someone brought up the idea of removing the undertube or the rod from these bricks and to make these, and I actually think that's a really good idea. I've not done that yet, and I'm gonna experiment with some techniques for removing that so I can share that with you, and you can make your own slider bricks instead of having to get these transparent window bricks. And then we have a 2x3 tile. This is pretty simple. I'm just gonna stand these up like that and place the 2x3 tile on top. And that's it. Another button. This is a 2x3 brick. Let me just adjust this exposure a little bit. You see that brick better now? Okay. Another button. This is a 2x3 brick right here. And we're gonna place a 2x2 tile on top right there. And this 1x3 plate is going to come here, just sticking out the side. And a 1x2 there. And another 1x2 tile here. So this is a technique we use a lot where there's a plate just with one stud sticking out on the side and a tile goes on top, and it can slide inside that motion there. It's constrained and it gives resistance. There's another button. Let's go, another button. We're gonna start with a 2x2 brick. 1x2 brick with a hole and a 1x2 brick with a axle hole. I'll just pop those two up. I'm gonna turn this into a 2x4 brick basically. Okay, 1x2 tile comes here. This 1x3 tile goes there. Now this is a corner plate that's going to have an arm sticking out, like that, and another 1x1 plate. And then finally, 1x3 tile and another one of these resistors, I call them. It just lets it slide back and forth. And we have, ta-da, another button. Hey, let me show y'all something. So in addition to making puzzle boxes, my wife is also an artist, and she made Chris a gift, so we're gonna send this to him. This is what she made. So this is made of resin, paint, and ink, and she put Chris's logo on it. So, what do you think of that? Pretty sweet, huh? Pretty unique. Hope he likes it. All right, another button. Just what you wanted, right? So, you know, if I'm using blue, I'm running out of pieces. So this is a 1x1 Technic brick with a hole in it. We have another one of these transparent window bricks without an undertube, so it's a slider. And I really am gonna try to figure out the best way to mod this so that you can, or mod these other 1x2 bricks so that you can, don't have to buy this piece. You can just use those standard bricks and mod them. Oh, some of you Lego purists are probably going to want to look away right now. So this is a 1x2 Technic brick with 2 holes. And there's something in one of the holes. It's a axle with a stop. And what I did is I just cut it off and glued it in there. And I did that just so that the exterior of the box looks like there's something there. So that the tool that goes in the other hole is maybe a little bit better disguised. Here, I'm gonna get up close for you on this one. It'll focus eventually. Look at that, that's nasty. Let's put it together. So I'm gonna put this brick, so the hole is actually facing this way, and then this other one lines up, and so the hole is just passing through here. Then I'm going to take this transparent brick, place it there with this corner plate on top. So this is just loose right now. I'm going to put a tile on top of that, like that, and then pull this all together with a 2x2 tile plate. Here we have it, another button. It's got that hole that goes all the way through. You see my finger on the other side? All right, so here, this is one of the main mechanisms of the puzzle. So the first thing I'm gonna do is take one of these racks. You see that right there? If I turn it that way a little bit too. That is a rack. It's a flat gear, it's 1x4, and it's actually 2 bricks high. That's why we left a 2 brick hole right here. So I'm just gonna drop that in. Maybe I'll slide it in through the hole. And push it all the way to the back. It's important that this all starts in the correct position, because once we put the gear in place, it has to be in the right position, otherwise the puzzle will mess up. All right, the next thing I'm gonna do is take this axle. So I think this is a 4, yeah, it's a 4 length axle with a stop. I sometimes call it a head because it looks like a nail head. And I'm gonna put it through a 1x1 brick with a hole, like that. And then I'm gonna take my 8-tooth gear, Technic gear, and slide it on, like that, okay. And then I'm going to use this piece. Man, I can't remember what this is called. It'll definitely be in the description, and I'll put it up top too, so that it's easy to figure out what this piece is called. But you see it's got axle holes on both sides, and then it's got just a regular hole through the middle. Okay, and so I'm gonna slide that onto the end of this. Just push it all the way in. All the way, good. Okay, the next thing I'm gonna do is place this pin. Now there's different kinds of pins, so it's important that you get the right one. And so notice that this pin it's symmetric. It goes sort of 1 brick length or width in both directions. It's got this little sort of, I don't know what that's called, just a stopper around the middle of it so that it can't pass through a hole. And then it's got just a little flare with these this groove that's right through the middle. So can you see that? That's probably the best way to see it. What we're gonna do from the inside, we're gonna push that pin in right here. Oh, let me get it lined up. See, I'm already having a little trouble. Let's try it this way. There. Nice. Okay. The next thing we're gonna do, and again, make sure that this rack is pushed all the way to the back. So we're gonna place this little system right here next to the pin. Just like that. Okay. Now remember this wingding that we made here? That's gonna come and sit on this jumper plate. And then we should be able to take the axle, this other axle, it's the same thing, it's a length 4 axle with a head, with a stop. And we're gonna push it through this hole, and then through the axle brick. You might wanna hold the axle brick as you push through so that it's just held in place, and into that hole and so that really locks this axle in place. And just kind of line the axle up in the center of the, sort of in the center, maybe a little bit closer to the brick, but just a little bit off of that rack. There you go. All right, let's put some buttons and some wingdings in. So I've kind of tilted these buttons so you can sort of remember which ones they are. But that one's there. This one comes here. It's important that the orientation of this one is correct with the transparent brick facing inwards and the button sort of face outwards. A few other buttons. First, let's place this one. Remember that? It comes right into there. And the hole is oriented this way. Then we have this guy, remember this thing with the two tiles on it? That's gonna go on right there. Just try to square that up if it's crooked the best you can. I'm gonna place a 1x1 plate here. And now this button just drops in. It's just sitting in there. Okay. Same with this one. Now this one's actually gonna rest on this stud right there. There it is. And just push it in. Now these should sort of be able to go back and forth, but it's not really strong right now because there's nothing above it. So make sure that this tile is pushed all the way up, and then place this one in here. And those two tiles, it's almost a daisy chain of sliders, of resistors. Yep. And then finally this button with the axle, the fake axle. And that's gonna just drop right into, so when you get these 1x1s, they can be shifted and that can really get in the way. Just make sure that they're shifted and try to align them as best you can. And that will eventually drop. If you need to remove this brick, that's fine. You can remove it, place this button, and then replace the brick. All right, it's starting to fill up, right? All right, a few more things going on. The first is, I'm using this piece, I'll figure out what that's called, but it's really just a filler piece, and you can use anything that will fit in this gap. So the problem that this is addressing is that when you slide this button in this way, you see these two corners are sort of just touching each other. And so when this tool gets pushed in to slide these back, it can kind of torque in the wrong direction and twist, and these corners can get hung up. So I just dropped that in there to keep this from twisting so much. Actually, a piece of paper just sort of wadded up and shoved in there is a little bit better than this. But that might really give some of you nightmares. So I'm gonna steer clear of that. That just drops in right there. And then the button pushes back. Oh. When you don't have a top to your puzzle, it's really not strong usually. Oh. These are all just sitting in here right now. Now let me tell you, oh no, we gotta do this first. So remember this thing, where the orientation of this is that the headlight brick actually is the bottom. So it sits like this. You're just going to drop that in and let it sit just like that. And then finally, this axle, this is getting on me right here. Let me just push this back in a little bit. There. So the axles with the stopper on them seem to come in, I think, even number lengths. And so I needed a length 7 or slightly less than 7, not much. And so, yep, I took the wire cutters to this one again. So you can see how 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, there's 7 studs, and this comes up just shy of the edge of that final stud length. And so when you cut that, and again, after I cut it, I kind of come back and just put it under a flame for just a little bit of time, just to sort of be able to come back and you know, really just push the grooves and make sure that the groove, make sure the axle isn't warped on the end so that it can't be used. So then that comes into this buttonhole right there, through this floater brick. Now with the lid not on, you might, if you're trying to put it in now, you might have to really hold that in place. And then it keeps going into this wingding with the hole. And it actually bends just ever so slightly, and that gives it a little bit of extra resistance. All right, we're ready to put the lid on this thing. Let me just show you kind of what it looks like now. Remember, these pieces are just hanging in there, so they'll fall out if you don't hold them. That's it. Let's get the lid on this thing. First thing I'm gonna do is take this 1x1 and 1x2 plate and put the 1x1 on the bottom and really just get it nice and square. You can do that by sort of pressing against your table. And that's gonna go right there. Oh, come on. See where I put that? Right there. Okay, and then this 1x2 plate is gonna come here. This longer plate, the 1x6, because it's a 6x12 box, remember? So that's gonna run across there. And we're gonna put some plates on the outside here. Like that. And run them back the other way. Okay, we got a 2x2 that comes right here. And then this is a 4x4. And you do this one, I really wouldn't sub this one. I guess you could, but this one gives a lot of strength. So if you have the 4x4, but use it. If you need to sub, maybe go with 2x4s, maybe right here and right there, but I'm not sure that would work. Okay, I'm gonna keep moving here. This piece, oops, this 1x6 is gonna fit right like that. Okay, oh, and actually I realized I've done something early, so I need to remove this big plate that I just made a big deal about and drop in this 2x2 plate right there. Again, right now it's just floating, but when we put this back, it's gonna lock in. There we go. Okay, the 2x4 plate there, 2x4 plate there, and a 2x2 plate. All right, we've got several more layers to this, but they're all just structural. So, you know, we have to leave an opening right here because this sits just too high. So there's gonna be an open spot right in this area right here. And then there's gonna be 2 more layers over that. All right, I'm gonna use another 1x4 or 4x4, but you can substitute this one. It's much less important. Just try to cover these cracks between the bricks. So that's gonna come right here. Leaving room for that right there. That goes that way. This gray one comes here. This just overhangs a little bit there. And another 1x2. Now this one, you know, it's kind of cantilever because we got 3 studs holding it, and then it's kind of loose for 3, but the rest of the lid will really solidify it. And look, this one right now is just sitting on 1 stud. Really, a lot of these pieces attach more to the top than to the underside. This is a 6x8 plate right here. I'll just set it right like that. Try to use as large of plates as you can on this layer because some of the pieces below it attach mostly to the top. Another big plate, and then a couple of smaller ones here. I'm gonna put it that way. Okay, and now the decorative lid. Decorative lid. All right, here we go. Now I'm using a jumper plate here, but that's just because we didn't have another nice navy blue tile. And voila. Make sure and press this down nice and firm before you put it on the cabinet. All right, the final steps. Let's do this. Slide your drawer into the cabinet. Place your new modified lock in. And then make sure that you're lining up the hole with the top of this lock, this pillar. Press it in. Just like that.